Welcome to Midtown Connects, a community conversation that we have with business owners and community leaders where, we just share and talk shop and figure out what's happening in Midtown to make our community a better community. I'm Porsche Stevens. I serve as president of MidtownMemphis.org, and I tell you, I am super excited to have a conversation with one of the founding members of MidtownMemphis.org. He is a Midtown resident, and also, I like to describe him as the creator of the theater district. Jackie Nichols, so good to see you this morning. How are you?
I'm doing good, except, well, this is morning, yeah. I mean, usually when you and I are having meetings, it's over a glass of wine, but this time it's coffee.
There you go. There you go.
But I may have some Kahlua in here. You just don't know.
There you go. And I went out and got my glass of wine because I know how we like to flow. So that's a really good conversation we can really start with on how we met. And, the relationship that we have right now, which I absolutely love, and I learned so much from you. So what I recall is me becoming a board member with MidtownMemphis.org. You and I just kind of hit it off. And then I learned that you were a consultant, you were consulting nonprofits. And during that time, I was serving as president of my neighborhood organization, which is Crosstown Memphis CDC. So we would get together and, kind of talk shop about, running a nonprofit, right?
And gossiping. We did a lot of gossiping too.
That's what we love most about it, right?
Yeah.
Is that we get a chance to kind of gossip without talking too bad, right?
Right.
You just bring me up to date on stuff that's happening around town. So I always appreciate that. But I felt like it was really important for us to have a conversation with you, being one of the founding members of MidtownMemphis.org, which the original organization was called what?
Well, it came out of something called the Heart of the Arts.
Okay.
And in the Heart of the Arts, and then it became Midtown Development Corporation. So Heart of the Arts was created by a feasibility study that Playhouse on the Square got for us building the new theater in Overton Square. And so we got this feasibility study, which Andy Kitzinger, who was with Lenny Rick's Kiss at that time, conducted. And the whole idea was, what would it take to create this enormous arts district in Overton Square in the middle of Midtown? And we got a lot of neighborhood buy-in, a lot of sessions where you had to listen to everybody, regardless of what their suggestions were. So and the end proposal of the Heart of the Arts study was that to create an arts district, it's not just about putting up posters and signs on lampposts. It really has to do with creating a neighborhood that everybody for the arts wants to be involved in. And that includes crime and zoning and cleanliness and everything else. And what was originally motivated and run by the marketing PR people with the 15 or 20 arts groups that were involved in that, we realized that we needed to have a separate 501c3 to deal with all of the issues. And so Heart of the Arts founded Midtown Memphis Development Corporation.
Gotcha.
And as a 501c3, and then it became Midtown Memphis after that. So that's kind of the history of it. We're looking for people that want to in whatever way they can to make Midtown a better place.
That's right.
So that was kind of the history of that, but it started from the feasibility study that we got through the city for the creation of the new theater.
Awesome. So now I'm going to backtrack a little bit and have you to share with us your background, which I think is just so fascinating, right? Because, hey, I take tap with you.
Right.
With a group of women that come to you in the wintertime.
Yes.
So
and some men.
Yeah, that's right.
Occasionally.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So, it's always a good time to take a tap class from you. So share with us briefly, what's your background?
Well, my background, I got involved in the arts and the theater as a tap dancer. My mother sent me to dancing school because she thought that would be make me more outgoing, more, just networking with people in the community. So I went to dancing school and discovered very quickly that's where all the cute girls were. So
love that.
So I had no problem with dancing school, although I did, and it was very challenging and very tough. The two things that I think that dictated how I run my life now is my discipline from dancing school and Boy Scouts. But tap dancing, I love tap dancing. Me and three other guys in our dancing school got pretty good. We won the Mid-South Fair Youth Talent Contest.
Yeah.
And that got us on the Ted Mack Amateur Hour, which was kind of like Star Search or American Idol, that kind of stuff today. So we won that a couple of times. And I would do a lot of high school shows, musicals. I could sing a little bit, dance a little bit, act a little bit. But I realized that I wasn't going to make a living at any one of those three things. So myself and three, four, five other people started Circuit Players when we were in high school. And the rest is kind of history. Our first year budget was $17,000. It just continued to grow. So most of my work has been in the theater, in performance. And it's grown into an organization which has a budget of $2+ million. We have $15 million in property assets, 4 theaters that we own, apartment complex, warehouse. We haven't run a deficit since we opened the theater, and we have a $6 million endowment. So we're doing pretty well.
Pretty damn.
And my retirement, which was about 3 years ago, lasted about 6 hours. And then some very generous individuals in the community and funders put together a nonprofit organization for me called LEaR Mentoring, which stands for Learn, Earn, and Return, which comes from my major benefactor, who is Andrew Clarkson with the Genium Foundation. And Andrew, a Scotsman, was a very passionate supporter of the arts in the city. About 20 different arts groups benefited greatly from Andrew, but he was, he really put you through your paces. You had to be a very disciplined, organized, you had to know what your bottom line was all the time with him if he funded you. But so when Andrew passed away a few years ago, I wanted to honor him in some way. So I named the nonprofit that was created for me LEaR Mentoring, Learn, Earn, and Return, which was what Andrew was taught by his father, which is whatever your field, you learn whatever you're going to do with your life, how to do that. You earn resources, you earn money, and then you return to the community, whether it be your knowledge or financial or both. And so it's my salute to him, is what I named the nonprofit that I work for. And the nonprofit that I work for enables me to work for about 20, I'm currently work with about 20 different nonprofits in the community. And it doesn't cost them anything because my salary is paid for by this foundation.
Yeah, this is a beautiful conversation. And that's what I so appreciate about you, because every time we get together, I'm learning something new. If it's, how to plant tomatoes, right? Which has nothing to do with our profits, right? But the fact that you have such a giving heart and you're giving up your time, and it's all about growing and learning how to sustain yourself, right? And we have great conversations. And the one thing that I hear you speak of most often is, endowments. I mean, you're like coming from a totally different perspective when it comes to how do you sustain yourself as a business, right? So what would be advice you would give, nonprofits that, are out there trying to make it happen for a better Memphis?
What would I tell them to do? First off, don't. No, I'm kidding. I've worked in nonprofits all my life, and I love that. In order to be involved with nonprofits and to do that, you have to have a mission that serves the community, that enables you to qualify for that nonprofit status. So all these 20 some odd different groups and individuals that I work with, some of them already are nonprofits. Some of them are individuals or groups of individuals that are interested in starting a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So many of them I help work through that process. So I'm going to give, if you can see this, that's a list of things that you have to pay attention to.
Right.
And so we sit down and we walk through these things so that you don't get in trouble as an individual, group of individuals, by not fulfilling some obligation to maintain that nonprofit status. And then you have to keep up with that every year.
Yeah.
There's, our community is actually composed of hundreds and thousands of people that really do want to give back to the community. Unfortunately, many times all you see on the news is the people that are taking, and they're not contributing. But there are so many people that don't get recognition for what they do, whether it's in the educational field or the arts or in healthcare. They don't get the credit for the contributions they make in our community. And I know that you know a lot of them from the work that you do.
Yeah.
There's, I guess when I meet with people for the first time, and we start talking about this, I think there's two questions if you're doing a nonprofit that you have to ask yourself. The first one is what your idea, what you want to do, how you want to serve, is it pragmatic? And I interpret that meaning as, is it capable of being executed? Whatever your idea is, however you want to serve, can it be done? And then the second question that you have to ask immediately after that is it sustainable? And you used that word earlier, and it's a very important word that many people don't look at in the long run. You can't just start your theater company, your dance company, or your group that works with the homeless. You can't just start with your idea that you always think is brilliant, and then expect somebody else just to step up and automatically agree with you and give you lots of money to do that. How are you going to keep that institution going? And I picked up from kind of an early stage with Playhouse. Playhouse is artistically very liberal, but we're fiscally very conservative. To the comment of many people that work for me, it's like, I need to be paid more. Jackie's so cheap. He keeps saving money. It's like, you need to pass more of that out.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the pandemic was coming, but there's something always coming. So I knew something was coming. So we had grown our endowment from the first year, $25,000 that someone gave us, 30, 40 years ago, to $6 million. So when you've got an endowment,
wow,
and you behave as you're supposed to with that, and you take 5% of that only out every year, and you continue to grow the endowment, you're going to be okay. You may have to cut things back in the middle of a tight time, but I think endowments for nonprofits, if you don't have one, you're not going to make it at some point down the line. And that's where the sustainability concept comes in.
That's real talk. And, I'm glad we have that on record so that people can go back and listen to that over and over and over and hopefully catch on to that. So will you share with us how many theaters you actually have in your portfolio?
So we have 4 at Playhouse on the Square, and we have 2 that are primarily the organization that functions that Playhouse performs in. That's Playhouse on the Square and Circuit Playhouse. And then we have 2 other theaters, the Evergreen Theater that we own, which used to be the old Guild Ritz movie theater. And then one time in its history, it also was called the Evergreen. And then we have TheaterWorks. And TheaterWorks is a little theater that's across from the new parking garage. And that also is the results of Andrew Clarkson, his generosity and his hard work creating that. And we're getting ready to celebrate our 25th anniversary at TheaterWorks.
Okay.
With a big party the end of August. So Andrew came to me and said that he had a friend of his who was also with AutoZone. Andrew was the chief financial officer of AutoZone, and she had a little theater company that did original work. And he said, "Would you help her find a home to do her shows in?" But she only needed something 8 weeks a year. So I got Andrew to agree that I would get the land donated in Overton Square, and I would get $100,000 in donated materials, which meant concrete blocks and electrical fixtures and stuff. If he would get $175,000 in cash together from donations, and that we would create TheaterWorks, and we would provide a home for 6 small companies to have an office and be able to do their shows in. So Andrew got that money together. I got the land donated. I got the other donations from very generous people in the community, and we broke ground. And 90 days later, we opened TheaterWorks. So we built it. We built it in 90 days. I designed the space. I'm not being a licensed architect. I turned that over to AutoZone, and their architects put their stamp of approval on it. So if you think it looks like AutoZone, the architects had something to do with that.
And it's a little theater right there behind Overton Square.
Yeah, it's on the backside, and those 6 group. And then several years later, we acquired. We turned, because Circuit Playhouse used to be where the Evergreen is now, Poplar. So we turned that over to the nonprofit board of which was TheaterWorks to do that. So we have 12 small companies that are in residence there, so that these companies have the stability of having a home and a place that they can perform in. It's very interesting. We're getting ready to have besides the 25th anniversary celebration, the Evergreen Theater has a unique history in Memphis, and that when it was the Guild movie theater, men were not allowed to dress up as women in the 60s, and or they would be arrested. And so in the 60s, there was a decision made to have the Miss Gay Memphis pageant on Halloween night, so that there could be men could dress up in costume,
right?
For this event. And so the Miss Gay Memphis pageant was held at the Guild Theater, and after that, the gay and lesbian community never had problems with anybody dressing up as anyone from the opposite gender.
There you go.
So we're celebrating that on Halloween night, however many years later. And we, because when Playhouse Circuit moved into that building, we dismantled all of the seats and we put them underneath the stage. That was 40 years ago. All those seats are still there. Okay. So we have been taking those out, and we are putting the seats together, and we're selling them for $250 each to support the continuation of the TheaterWorks thing. So you can buy a seat that was actually in the theater, in the movie theater, the night that happened.
Wow, how cool. How cool. That's creative.
Yeah,
way to raise money, you know.
I know. Yeah, we're putting together 20 of them we hope to sell. So we think it's gonna be, so you can have a little bit of a history in your house or on your back porch.
No doubt, no doubt. So while you're out serving nonprofits, I mean, how were they surviving COVID? Right? Like, what advice? I mean, like, what were you hearing people struggling with most during COVID?
Well, not only Playhouse and Circuit, but I had spent a lot of energy and time and a lot of Andrew's money uh, creating endowments and cash reserves for theater works, and also, so we have survived this, and with the help of several government programs that have come out,
Yeah.
we have survived this pretty well, and have found ways to still reach the community. Um, the arts groups in this community are very resilient, and they find ways, and most of that comes because of some very dedicated staff and executive directors that are running them, and some very generous, compassionate board members. So I don't think that Memphis is going to lose uh, uh, any of its nonprofits over this, and things are starting to open back up. People are coming up with programs. So I think it's we have fared better than some in other communities, and the ones that I know, the ones that have once again have endowments, have cash reserves, are the ones that are doing the best, and some of them are finding the pandemic has given them opportunities to find new ways of reaching the community, and so I think a lot of that diversity in working with the community is going to continue after the pandemic is done.
Gotcha.
Did I answer that question?
It was a very good answer for me.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, your vision has played a huge part in generating revenue for Overton Square. Now we have a hotel, which I had the opportunity to, you know, stop over there and have a cocktail last week. The Memphis.
Okay.
So what role, you know, does the Memphian or having a hotel, or how important is having a hotel in Overton Square to the theater district?
So so when we opened the new theater, Bob Loeb was on our board at that point, and he was talking about the theater district, and you know, because we had Playhouse and Theater Works and Ballet Memphis and Hattie Lou and the movie theater, and Bob was talking about a great this theater district and restaurants and outdoor performance space, and it's a destination for people in the region. And I told Bob, I said, you know, we're very happy as an arts nonprofit to promote that, but we have to have a place for people to stay. So I pushed Bob into doing that, and Bob said, you know, I'm not in the hotel business. I don't want to be in the hotel business. I said, well, if you want this to be a destination point, we need to have a hotel. So you either need to get somebody, and so or you know, it's not going to be, because we have to send people downtown. So they're going to come here and they're going to do one or two things, and they're going to have to go to downtown, and you're going to lose that patronage. Yeah. So he worked on getting a team of people together to build the Memphian Hotel. And although we promised him that we would supply a large contingent of patrons on the weekends, and none of the theaters or dance companies are open on the weekends right now. But once this passes, you know, people are going to come to Memphis. They're going to be able to park their car, stay in the hotel, go to the theater, go to the ballet, go to wherever they go to the restaurants, go to Overton Park. And you know, I think that we will finally catch up with where we're supposed to be as far as the number of people from the arts going into the hotels. And, you know, we're going to be able to put patrons in there on the weekends. The hotel has to come up with the way of serving people and other, but I know a lot of people in the Midtown already who have guests come in town that they don't have room in their house, and that's where they're already booking pretty heavy. I think it's going to be very popular, and I know they've got a great bar that's going to be opening up on the rooftop.
Hey, the one inside the hotel is great.
I know. It's got a big history. Yeah, it's got a lot of history of Memphis and everything. So Bob and his wife have done a great job of doing that, putting that together.
Really cool.
So we're very happy that the hotel is in Midtown, and I think it's going to serve all of the folks that live here.
No doubt.
We needed it.
No doubt. Now, Jackie, you are a Midtowner. I always get confused on the name of your neighborhood. What's your neighborhood called?
Well, my neighborhood is Tucker Jefferson.
There you go. Right.
Yeah, and it's a small area that's bordered by Madison, Poplar, Cooper, and McLean. And at various times, we have a neighborhood association that's active, and depends on what the needs are. Yeah. I know the neighborhood association got more involved when they were trying to get the dairy to move out of Midtown, because it was and still is very dangerous for people in Midtown to have these big semi-tractor trailer trucks and MIP trucks barreling down through Overton Square. But I think they had financial problems, the dairy did, on relocating, so that didn't happen. But so we still had to deal with that. But my neighborhood association, once again, so I started that, was tried to get them to move, but that didn't happen.
So you've been a Midtowner for a very long time. So you've seen Midtown grow.
Yes.
I mean, it's some really cool stuff happening in Overton Park, which I know, hey, you know what's happening over there as well. You feel like sharing that information with our audience. Yeah, when my nonprofit was started, which was 3 years ago, the person who helped me get this organized, Bob Faulkner Community Foundation. And if anybody is interested in getting their nonprofit endowment started, I highly recommend you talk to Bob and to work with him on that. But Bob talked to me about, so what do you want to do? And I told him that the College of Art was going to be coming empty very quickly, and that needed to be addressed as far as it's going to be a big hole in that. Yeah. And he said, so what, do you have any ideas? And I told him I thought that Carissa should move the metal museum, the museum portion, into Rust Hall. And he said, it's a great idea. I think I can help get funding for that. So I met with Carissa the next day and talked to her about it. And she had determined that they were going to stay on the river, which has some problems. It's like she can build a new museum on the river and you still can't find them. Yeah. You're going to end up in West Memphis. And when they do that big exchange there coming off 55 onto the 240 loop, you won't be able to get to it even easier. And that slowly and surely the bluff is slipping into the Mississippi River. So she thought about all those things. And the plan is, and this is one of the biggest projects I'm working with her, is moving the metal museum, the gift shop, and the educational programs to the College of Art, old College of Art building. So the community has more access, but they'll be keeping the artist residency on the river for the metalsmiths that come in from around town, and they will still have events down there on the river at sunset, raising money for that. Yeah. So anyway, we can put a price tag on that. That's about a $20 million project. Yeah, it's her number kind of changes, 30, 35 million to build that, which includes an endowment. Yeah. But she got a very generous gift from a large foundation in Arkansas to do that. And she's gotten a very generous gift for an endowment to expand their programming in West Memphis. I mean, wherever they're moving to. Right, Rust Hall.
So my dog is barking. So hold on one second. You can cut this out, right?
Yeah. He's trying to get in. That screened in porch, our spot, man.
Okay, you got to cut that out.
Yeah.
Or you can keep it in. I don't care. So anyway, she's got a great architectural firm that's designing this from out of town. Company's called Y. They've built They've built many museums around the country, around the world. Right. And when those plans are finished and she finishes raising the money, hopefully they'll start construction soon on that and open maybe the end of next year.
No doubt. Carissa Hassan over at the Metal Museum. I think she's a badass. And I'm looking forward to the Metal Museum being in Overton Park.
Yeah, we are.
That's going to be a huge asset.
So and I'm not going to mention the person. Can I keep talking?
Sure.
Okay.
We're recording. Sure.
I'm not going to mention the person, but they're one of the people that she approached on funding. Carissa talked to them about contributing to the move there, and this person said, "Well, I don't really support them moving to Midtown." And she asked them why, and she said, "Well, it's because the gift shop's going to be closer to my house." They have the most amazing gift shop in the world. So this person felt that I'm going to spend a lot more money.
That's right. That's right. It happened to me a couple of weeks ago.
If you want to get something unique and special, you go to the Metal Museum gift shop. That's right. Most other gift shops, the stuff comes in from China or somewhere. Right. And their stuff is all personally made, handmade. It's great. Yeah.
It's really cool. I love it. I love the Metal Museum. So, before we wrap up this conversation, because, we can go on and on and on. We've gotten so to the point now that we used to meet once a month. Now it's bumping up twice a month that we can get together and just have a couple of cocktails and keep the conversation going. You've seen the growth of Midtown. You are a founding member of MidtownMemphis.org. Where do you see us going? I mean, how do you visualize, the possibilities? Because Midtown is a really unique community. So what's your vision? What do you see as a visionary of Midtown Memphis?
Well, one of the things I think that we really need is actually MidtownMemphis.org, Midtown Development, did some research on this in the past, and we developed a proposal that was to establish a transportation link around Midtown and downtown. And I think it would be very valuable for us to reconsider that. It was basically a link that connect everything from the Rhodes area through up and down Cooper, and then there was a link at Overton Square that connected to downtown. So you could get on the bus and the transfer point would be at Overton Square. And it connected, 3 universities. It connected, there needs to be a better way of people getting around Midtown. I think it was called the Mad Dash, or Midtown and downtown. And I think that there have been a couple of attempts at creating a transportation link, but I don't, in Midtown, but I don't think that they really examine the best way to do that and to serve the community. So I think some way, and most cities have that. I visited in Birmingham and Chattanooga and Philadelphia, and they all have their little transportation thing. And I think we need something like that here in Memphis. And everybody needs, if you're a nonprofit, everybody needs to make sure you get your endowment in place.
No doubt.
Well, and I know Bob is, talks about this, and other foundations do too, that the real wealth is in individuals, not so much in corporation funding or foundations. The amount of individuals that are going to have wealth to distribute coming up is pretty astronomical. and you want to look at your planned giving programs so that the people, when they are looking at, and everybody doesn't have children they leave money to. Everybody is looking for a nonprofit. So you need to work on your planned giving program so that they will consider your nonprofit for the future.
There you have it. Jackie Nichols, describe the theater district in 3 words.
It's for the betterment of Midtown.
That sounds good.
And whatever that is, for some people it's more bars. Some people it's a place to dance. So it's going to be the betterment of Memphis. And to tell you, also, I had a discussion with Natalie Wilson Levitt Shell, who I'm working with yesterday, and she's interested in a collaboration between MidtownConnects and the Levitt Shell.
Ooh-wee.
And she wants to talk. She wants to talk to you.
Love you. We shall talk. We shall talk, man. Thanks for always looking out for me. It is such a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
We'll do this again.
No doubt. Thank you for your commitment to Midtown.
Okay, I love it.
No doubt. MidtownConnects can be viewed online. Just go to midtownmemphis.org and just click MidtownConnects. We'll see you the next time.
We done?